Hello, I'm Aily Nash, and I'm one of the programmers at the New York Film Festival for the Current section. And I'm very pleased to have Shengze Zhu with us and her presentation of her new feature film, A River Runs, Turns, Erases, Replaces. So hello, Shengze. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, hello, Aily. Thank you for inviting the film.
So good to see you. I'm glad we're gonna have a chance to discuss this work, which I saw it earlier in the year and rewatched it today and was still so struck by how powerful it is and so poignant. And I think I'm so impressed by how you're able to communicate the complex emotions of alienation and loss and grief of the last year, yet through such restrained means, through these landscapes, images, and the letters. So I'm really excited to hear about the process that you went through in creating this work. So I thought we might begin with just hearing a bit about your relationship to Wuhan and this river. And my understanding is that a lot of the footage was shot for before the pandemic for what was a different project initially. And then curious to know how the onset of the pandemic brought you back to this footage and made you think that this would now become a different project?
Yeah, so Wuhan is my hometown. It is where I was born and raised, and I have lived there for more than 20 years, actually. Mm-hmm. So it's really just my home. And then so this project actually, so at first the original idea actually had nothing to do with this pandemic, because at that time everything seems like normal, and then so for me it was really just a project about my relationship with the city, because I left Wuhan at my early 20s to study in United States. So and then after that, every time I went back home, I feel the city has become more and more unrecognizable to me. So I feel, it's no longer the place that I am familiar with in a way. So I wanted to document all these changes. Also because, Wuhan has an official slogan, it's like Wuhan different every day. For me, it's a very funny thing to use this as a official slogan, because on the one hand, every day is different. But on the other hand, if you want to use this to illustrate something about the city's development, it can, becomes interesting. So anyways, I wanted to document all the changes, all the transformations that have happened in the city over all these years. And I wanted to know, how the people, how the residents cope with such rapid development. And of course, I want to document or capture all the losses, like what is lost in this development. So that was the original idea. And then the shooting started in the summer of 2016. And the last shooting took place in the fall of 2019. So that was October, I guess. And then I went back to United States, and then the pandemic, started. And then, so it changed everything, I guess. So it changed me, it changed my understanding of many things, and it changed the world in significant ways. So at first, actually, I didn't plan to change the film, because I still wanted to make it as planned. But at the meantime, I feel I shouldn't avoid what happened last year in the film, because it just has so profound impacts on many, many things. So I couldn't avoid it. So then that's how I ended up with this film. It's a very different film now. Yeah.
Yeah. I would love to hear about the opening sequence, because it's the one part of the film where the footage is from after the pandemic, and it's the surveillance footage that we see, the date. So it goes from, I think, February until April during the lockdown. And I wondered about, it kind of made me think, because the footage is so different from the rest of the film, about your process in terms of watching surveillance footage, how you kind of came to this specific camera, this angle, how you came to edit this kind of specific sequence that we see. And I guess it made me think a bit about your previous film, Present Perfect, because that whole film is composed of, hours and hours of footage that you watched from the internet and then distilled down to what we see. And so I wondered if you were watching many different cameras during that time, or how you came to this kind of specific intersection of what to me looks like a road with like a pedestrian walkway or something. So yeah, just curious how that sequence came to be.
Actually, that footage was streamed on the internet as well. So it was open to the public. And also I had footage from multiple angles, like from multiple cameras, exactly as you said. So, and I tried to not use too much of the footage in this film. So, but anyway, so that angle I chose at the end because it was a camera, it was a location very close to the river. So that was part of it. And also, but the whole process was different, because when I first started watching the footage, I didn't have a purpose, at that time, it was really like I wanted to know what was going on there. Because my family lived there and they couldn't go out. So I wanted to know what was going on in the street. So and then just by chance, just very accidentally, I found out that they were live streaming all those surveillance cameras from different locations across the city. So I started to watch I won't. It's not show because for last film I start watch a show. So anyway, so I started to watch all those cameras, and then gradually I found out. Anyway, it helped me in a way, because it made me feel much better. It's really I feel, because by watching those footage, I feel like I experience what was going on there in a way, but of course I know that I didn't experience it at all, but just I feel I need it. And then at the end I decided to incorporate this part into the film, because I feel because I need this part to serve as an introduction to tell the audience what was going on there during the pandemic. And I feel the footage from the surveillance camera is more neutral in a way, because I could have asked my friends to film the streets for me, but then that's their perspective. I don't want that. And also because in this specific camera that I chose, you see, cleaners, delivery guys, and the police and the government officials, they are doing different things. I feel, I don't know, this part, like we always have this certain kind of stereotype or judgments on this specific group of people. But for me, I think during that specific time, these people are the city. The city needs these people so that it could run, normally. during
They're
that.
the essential workers.
Right. So I feel, I don't know, I just hope I need this, and I want to show what they were doing during that specific time, because they really risk their lives doing what they were doing.
Yeah, thank you. And I feel like the film is primarily composed of the images, as you were speaking, that you shot earlier, but the letters that then come into the project, which of course were after the fact. I think most of them were dated sometime in September of 2020, or around then. So I'm curious how the letters entered the film, and where they came from, what your process was in terms of how you would work them in, because I think it's quite remarkable how sparsely you use them. There really aren't that many letters. I think as a viewer, when we experience the first letter, you think, oh, now we're going to kind of keep having text over the image, but then it really doesn't come back for a while longer. So I think this like restraint with which you use the letters is quite impactful, because each letter is so is so powerful and so intimate. So yeah, I'd love to hear you speak about working with this text.
Yeah, so after I decided that I wanted to make a different film, about Wuhan, what happened last year. So the very first idea came to my mind was that I wanted to structure the film in reverse chronological order. So what you see right now is not like very strictly, but what you see right now is I put the footage from 2019 at the beginning, and then it's the footage of 2018, and at the end, the very last few shots was from the footage of 2016. So, and then I wanted to give some hints of this structure. So, and of course I wanted to connect the film with what happened last year. And then I thought about using text, because the reason is just very simple, because I don't have the footage. So when I thought about using text, and then there are different kinds of text that I could use. And I thought about using news coverage, or, like Twitter posts, or sentences, like many different forms. I thought about them, and at the end I ended up with letters, because as you said, I think it's very intimate. And when you look at those images, actually there's this distance between you and the landscape. So I think this intimacy is I like the contrast between this intimacy and that distance. So and in the meantime, because I met those people, there's one was a lady that I met on the internet. She wrote those small diaries to her lost husband. That was the first letter, actually. So, but it's not like a whole letter. So I feel that could be that could be the form that I wanted to use in the film. So, and then, so at the end, I wrote all the letters by myself. But each letter is based on a true character. And sometimes I directly quoted a few things that they said or they wrote. But at the meantime, I think there are also my letters as well. So there are the letters that I wrote for the city as well. So, okay. And I didn't use voiceover, because many people ask me that why you just put a text on the screen, because I really wanted the audience to read the letters by themselves in their own words. Yeah, so yeah, I think that works much better, actually. So
yeah, and I also really like that you use like handwritten text of, I mean, obviously the subtitles are not handwritten, but the way that it interplays with the landscape, like the footage, it really isn't, it doesn't like take over those shots. Like you can still kind of experience the image while you're reading the letters, which is really nice. But yeah, I wondered if you could speak a bit more about this idea of how the letters kind of bring you into these very anecdotal and kind of like textures that you can't quite, that kind of functions on a very different scale than the images, because your images are so, the cinematography is, the landscapes are so kind of grand and human scale is so small. Usually, you know, we're seeing people as kind of like framed within the architecture of the bridges or of, you know, this vast landscape, and kind of the access to the people is very different in terms of what the text achieves and what the images do. So I wonder if you could speak a bit more about that.
Yeah, for me it's really like it echoes like my experience or my feeling about you know, my relationship and between the relationship that I have with the landscape. So it's really like you know, like those like letters, like those personal stories, they are very intimate and they are very solid, and you know, like it's like my personal story, but at the end you are in this enormous at the meantime you are in this enormous landscape, and you are just very, very tiny part of it. So and then I don't know, so I think that maybe this chemical reaction between the intimacy and then this enormous landscape might work. And and I'm happy that you like it. Yeah.
And I think the title really speaks to that as well. It's very poetic, you know, it's like a list of verbs that the river, like these actions that the river takes, you know, it runs, turns, erases, replaces. And I also get a similar feeling from this title of how, you know, however much the lives of the people are intertwined with this river, the river is very autonomous and indifferent in a way to the lives of humans. And no matter what happens in kind of like on the human scale, the river will kind of continue to flow and like continue its course. So I feel like the title very much reflects this idea you're also mentioning.
Yeah, I guess also because I hope that the film, or not just this film, like all my films, that I hope there's this certain kind of openness, or there's this, or maybe I would say to be more specific, I hope there's this space between what I try to capture, you know, and then and also and what is there, you know, like between the reality and the filmic representation. So going to the text, and the title, because it's all about its language, it's not image and sound. So I hope those texts, the language can tell something, but it doesn't make any conclusion or judgments in a way. So it just gives you a certain kind of like a start point. So and then goes to the title. Yes, like you said, like the river. I guess the river, it just means so many different things, and things that are, you know, even contradict with each other, because and sometimes when we talk about the river, we always focus on its strength, its vitality, you know, the fact that it's constantly moving. But at the meantime, as you said, it's also indifferent river. It remains there, no matter, you know, the surroundings change or no, and you know, so it's indifferent in a way. So I kind of like this ambivalent feature of it, because it allows so many things and it opens to interpretation.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
I also find, oh, go ahead.
Oh no. So that's why I got the title. I just want.
Yeah, and I also think it's a really profound perspective to take, especially in, a year and in response to something such as the pandemic, to kind of zoom out from the human scale and to see, something such as a river that really has its own life force and its own kind of, this kind of indifference we're speaking about. And I guess I'd love to hear a little bit more. I know it was like your thinking around those images was like the production of those images was at a very different time, but I'd love to hear a bit about the process of the filming and finding the various locations and the experience of kind of navigating the city through recording your hometown.
Yeah, so I just started with the places that I'm more familiar with, like the area that I grew up with, and then I just use the map and go to those places that are more further away and more that I don't know about. So in the end, I guess I'm very obsessed with construction sites or ruins or those places that have transient nature, because the city, or not just the city, just the country itself, it's a place that you would discover changes you would discover new things on a daily basis, so sometimes you just feel, oh, I don't recognize it at all. Yeah, you constantly have this feeling. So I wanted to explore this part while I work on the filming, so eventually I focuses more specifically on those places that are either about to go away or they're about to build something there, and sometimes you can't know, you don't know it because they look similar. It's just ruin, and also at the same time I feel that while you I don't know, it's like you feel those when you're standing there in front of those huge infrastructure, you feel those things could be there forever. You would have this illusion, and it's an illusion because you have been living there for so long. So anyway, so at the end, I became obsessed with all those ruins and the construction sites, I guess. Yeah.
Will you talk about the song at the very end?
Oh yeah, that's like a very personal. That's a very personal choice, I guess. So I love this band because they are kind of like they are like a legend for the underground music scene of China, and Wuhan is actually called Punk City. For young people, because of them. So they also have.
Are they from Wuhan?
Yeah, they're from Wuhan. So,
okay.
Yeah, and the band was formed, I guess, in the 90s. So that was a long time ago, actually. So they have a very famous song called Wuhan Wuhan, but I think that title is too specific. I don't want to use it as the ending. So I chose Drunk with City because obviously this song was made for Wuhan, but then it has this universal idea of hometown. So so it's just a very personal choice.
And the archival photographs that also come at the very end, before the credits.
Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's so partly it's because my ending credit is very short. And I wanted to include the music. So okay, but that's not
You're like,
the
how
main,
can I expand the
that's not the main reason, but that's practically speaking, that's true. And then so because I wanted to structure the film in reverse chronological order, right? So
Right.
I thought about where should I end the film? Should I end at the time period that I started filming, or should I move further? You know, I don't know. So that was the question I had while I was working on the editing. So I thought, okay, maybe I should explore a little bit about the history of Wuhan, because Wuhan, this idea of Wuhan is not quite old. The city has a long history, but originally it was there were three towns, and none of them called Wuhan. So it was only until the, I guess, 40s or 50s. Oh, I guess 40s. Yeah, we had this name. Like,
oh wow.
Yeah, so I guess so those photos were dated to that period.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so to the 50s at the earliest. I couldn't find those photos from the 40s. Yeah, but then at the meantime, all those photos I chose were group photos by the river, because I also wanted to explore a bit more about this idea of collectivism, because the river is an important part of our collective memory, of our collective experience. But at the meantime, everyone has a different experience of it. Everyone has a different understanding of it. And the same is as the pandemic. Like we all live through it together, but in the meantime, it has different impacts on everyone in very significantly different ways. So this, and of course, this idea between collectivism and individualism is also another thing I hope to explore a little bit at the end of the film, because now we see that China handles this pandemic very well compared to other countries, and I think one of the key reasons is that China really adores collectivism, because so there's like as an individual, you are willing to sacrifice some of your needs to a greater goal or national goal, and you suffer from personal inconvenience, but you thought that's fine, and you would follow the rules. But here, like, we value freedom, we value the needs of everyone, and we have this long discussion about whether you should wear a mask and now whether you should take a vaccine. But in China, no, it's a totally different scenario. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Shengze. It's been really wonderful to hear about your process in making this work, and just all of the thought process that went into it. So thank you so much for sharing it with us.
Thank you for all the questions. Yeah, I hope the audience would enjoy the film. I have never watched the film on big screen yet. So.
Oh no, okay, hopefully soon.
Yeah, hopefully soon. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.